All right, man, peace. So the mainstream liberal sports media has been flirting with the notion of the Golden State Warriors' great two-way shooting guard Klay Thompson deciding to take his talents to the LA Lakers to assist their boo-thang LeBron James for a while now. Well, Klay Thompson has recently came out and stated in regards to LeBron James signing with the LA Lakers that that's cool. We all know that for the most part, that's the most that you're going to get from a Klay Thompson. But is he considering signing with the Lakers? I think that if he were to leave the Golden State Warriors to sign with another team, that would be the team. He certainly has ties to the Lakers franchise. His father was a standout player for those late 80s Laker teams. And his father, I think, does want him to sign with that team. Now, whether or not Klay is going to do what he wants to do, I think that he will. He's always shown himself to be his own man. He's shown himself to be very content in his current environment. So we'll see. But we're going to let Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman touch on this topic. Of course, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Klay Thompson and a few other Warriors were asked about LeBron wearing the purple and gold. They said it's cool, the King's a Laker, and we all know Klay's a free agent this summer, and the Warriors likely can't keep that entire roster intact. Max, I'll come to you with the perfect segue. Thank you. What are the chances that Klay goes to LA?
I think they're good. You know, if you know his...
Well, Max Kellerman, if when you say good, you mean around 5 to 10%, then I would agree with that. I would say that that's good if that's your definition of good. But I believe that there's a far greater chance that Klay Thompson decides to re-up with the Golden State Warriors. He seems like a very loyal dude. He seems very happy there.
His father, Michael Thompson.
Yep.
Klay Thompson grew up in a purple and gold household. Like, Michael Thompson bleeds purple and gold. Michael Thompson, his daddy, in our colleague. Michael Thompson was the #1 overall draft pick in the NBA, was averaging 20 and 12. Got traded to the Lakers, where he wasn't going to have any stats to back up Kareem, and he thinks it's the greatest thing that ever happened to him.
Of course he does, because he was able to win a couple of titles, and people will always remember him. He accomplished more in those couple of years with the Lakers than he did anywhere else in his career. And those Laker teams in 87 and 88, I believe that to this day, they're still the only team to put 4 #1 draft picks on the basketball court at the same time. They had Kareem, they had Magic, they had Worthy, and they had Michael Thompson.
Because he won championships.
So you talk about a team being stacked. Like, that was a super team for real. And that's not even counting Byron Scott.
He's all about the Lakers. And I know he'd like, whatever they say, I know he'd love for Klay to play with the Lakers, and I'm sure that would be a lifelong dream for Klay.
Well, Max Kellerman, it's very difficult for me to accept that playing with the LA Lakers has been a lifelong dream for Klay Thompson, unless you're saying something or you're spilling the beans on something that you've heard. I mean, I would be a believer in the notion that you're putting forth if Klay Thompson had let it slip in some way, shape, or form, as athletes often will. For example, Earl Thomas of the Seattle Seahawks, he's made no bones about the fact that he has always wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy. In regards to Klay Thompson, I have yet to hear him say that he's always dreamed of playing with the LA Lakers. If one of you brothers have, you can correct me. But for Max Kellerman to say that he believes that it's always been a dream of Klay to play with the LA Lakers, I would hope that he's saying that based on something of substance that he's heard.
That said, Stephen A., whatever LeBron thinks he wants, here's the issue I have with Klay on the Lakers. Klay is the greatest 3-and-D plus player ever. Like, basically, that's what he is. He's an excellent defender, and he can shoot unlike anyone ever, maybe, right?
Well, you can make that case that he's the best 3-and-D player ever. He's certainly the prototype.
And it's not that he can't put the ball on the floor, Stephen A., but it's sort of like Allen Houston back in the day. For a 3-and-D player, he can put the ball on the floor. But if you're the opposition, you want him to put the ball on the floor.
Definitely.
Because that's not really what he's best at. And if you're going to pay max dollars for another superstar to pair with LeBron James, I would like that guy to be able to put the ball on the floor at an elite level. When the Warriors became unbeatable, they got a guy like that in Kevin Durant, who's not the primary ball handler. LeBron, I think, needs more than a guy like Klay to be put with a guy like, even if it's a Paul George, obviously Kawhi Leonard, a guy who can also play make. If the ball's in his hands and he's running your offense, you're still okay.
Well, here's the problem with that, Max Kellerman. You can't constantly tell me that LeBron James is head and shoulders above every other player in the NBA, but then you're always talking about how much help he needs. If LeBron James is light years better than Kevin Durant and Anthony Davis, then he should not need these multitude of players to come and assist him. Even with the Warriors having 2 of the top 3 players in the NBA conceivably, why does LeBron James need that much help if he's light years ahead of everyone else? When you say light years, you basically are putting the nails into the casket of your own argument. That's what you're doing. Because you're saying that LeBron James is 2, 3, 4 times better than everybody else in the NBA. That means that LeBron James equals Steph Curry and Kevin Durant together.
And I don't think that's quite Klay Thompson.
I disagree with you. And the reason why I disagree with you is because of our previous conversation, the level of personnel that the Los Angeles Lakers have on their squad right now. When you have a bunch of guys that can handle the ball, you look at Klay Thompson. What you don't have is Klay Thompson, a Kyle Korver, a bona fide shooter. If you look at some of the great shooters in NBA history, you know what? Do you realize that only 3 guys are ahead of Klay Thompson percentage-wise? 3 guys. Kyle Korver, Steph Curry, and Steve Nash, who was really a point guard that could shoot the 3, but really wasn't a 3-point shooter. So really you only have 2 bona fide 3-point shooters percentage-wise that's better than Klay Thompson. And Kyle Korver's been in the NBA since 2003. Klay Thompson just got back 8 years later in 2011. Klay Thompson.
Right, so what that actually means, Stephen A. Smith, I mean, you're actually giving the edge more to Kyle Korver when you make an argument like that. Because if your argument is percentage points, the person who's been playing longer and taking more attempts, for them to have a higher percentage than somebody who's played less years, presumably that's going to hold out. I mean, unless Klay Thompson becomes a better 3-point shooter than he's been for the early part of his career, which, I mean, who knows? You never know. But when you make an argument like that, it's like saying that a certain player shot 50% from the field who had a 20-year career, and this other player has shot 50% from the field and they played 7 years. Well, you would assume that as they get older, they're going to become less proficient. So therefore, it's more exceptional. It's of a higher caliber of proficiency when somebody's able to have that same level of proficiency over a longer period of time. Now, if we were trying to evaluate cumulative stats, then you could say, okay, Kyle Korver has hit 2,000 3-pointers. Klay Thompson has hit 1,300, but Klay Thompson has only played half the time. So it's 2 different arguments that require an understanding of the parameters around each argument.
Thompson is one of the greatest shooters this game of basketball has ever seen. He's 6'7", he can defend multiple positions, and not only that, he doesn't need the basketball. And the argument that
and on top of that, he's not a complainer.
That I'm making with you, Max, is this. Even though I appreciate your point, and if you're talking about a Kevin Durant, obviously we know how lethal it would be unfair. I think I'd boycott the NBA if Kevin Durant and LeBron James teamed up. I mean, why even bother watching basketball? It would just be insane to me. But let me say this to you.
Of course you'd watch. You'd be elated. Imagine how happy Shannon Sharp, Max Kellerman, Nick Wright, Colin Cowherd would be if Kevin Durant signed with the LA Lakers to team up with LeBron James. Oh, man.
Let me say this to you. Even though, throw that aside, the issue here is Klay Thompson's not needing the ball is actually more helpful.
Wait a minute.
Absolutely.
Because he can be a catch and shoot guy. Now, he could put the ball on the floor to get a shot off.
Right.
He ain't going to dance on you or nothing like that. He can post with you. He can't do. Kyle Korver can't do that.
Right.
That was why he was nothing. But catch and shoot. Klay Thompson was special.
But the Lakers already have a guy who can do that, who they don't have to pay yet. Josh Hart shoots 40% from 3.
No.
He's a nice player.
He's a nice player. But Klay Thompson is much more than a nice player. Klay Thompson is a borderline great player. Some people might say he is already a great player. I'd say he's a very, very good player, borderline great.
He's a really nice player. I like Josh, and he's growing, and there's a place for him. But, he does.
And on top of that, Klay Thompson has championship pedigree. And he's shown on numerous occasions that he will show up in the biggest moments when you need him the most.
He does a lot of things for you on both ends, and I'm not trying to question that. But again, he handles the ball in terms of just catching and shooting.
He's not as good as Klay. Klay Thompson's the best version of that.
Well, that's all I'm saying.
But do you need the best version of that? You want to give that guy a max?
Yeah, but why have one of them? In other words, what I'm saying to you is because...
Exactly, especially in this day and age of the NBA where shooting is such a necessity. You can never have too many guys like a Klay Thompson on your team who are going to D up their man and be a long-range threat, averaging 20 a game, 45% from three, 90% from the line. Oh, man, those guys do not come a dime a dozen.
Because of what you saw, even though Klay is considerably better than Kyle Korver, because of what you saw, how handicapped Cleveland was with Kyle Korver on the floor, because all he could do was shoot for you offensively. If you got a Josh Hart, that's not a disincentive to go out and get a Klay Thompson.
I'll tell you why it is. Because of the cap, you don't want too much redundancy. So in other words, the Lakers have LeBron James. He's the do-everything man, right? You're going to have room for maybe 2 more max deals. Mm-hmm. Do you want to shoot one of those on a guy who's Josh Hart plus?
Yes.
When you already have
Josh Hart plus. Wow. This guy has no respect for Klay Thompson. What the hell has Josh Hart done in the NBA for his name to be constantly mentioned alongside Klay Thompson? Give me a fucking break.
Have Josh Hart.
Once again, what did I tell you about it?
Oh, I'm sorry. He was the MVP of the Summer League.
About it. You think because people disagree with you, they don't understand. This is basketball. I comprehend it fully. I am telling you, I respectfully disagree. That's exactly what I want.
So
I want
to
lower. Well, I'm not saying over anybody. I'm saying if you were talking about chances of him signing with the Lakers, which, by the way, I think is slim to none because the Golden State Warriors tell me that there's no way in hell they'll lose Klay Thompson.
Of course not. Why would you let Klay Thompson go? Klay Thompson is a proven commodity. There's nowhere in the world that you let him go.
They're not letting him.
Once again, and a lot of people might not understand this, I think that Klay Thompson is of equal value to that franchise as Kevin Durant. They could replace a Kevin Durant sooner than they could a Klay Thompson, believe it or not.
Him go, and his daddy says, you know what, who knows what he's going to do, but we all know Klay loves the Bay Area.
Look at the max deals that are likely to come up in trade or just for signing. Where does Klay rank among them? Would you rather have AD or Klay? Would you rather have Kawhi or Klay? Consistently.
Right, but you're talking about fantasy basketball. You're talking about fantasy basketball, Max Kellerman. In fantasy basketball, you want the guy who gets the bigger numbers and the better stats. But when you're putting together a team, you have to say, who fits together with who? Klay Thompson fits together with a LeBron James, in a hypothetical universe where they would play together. He fits together with LeBron better than Kawhi. But we're going to find out in the offseason because I think that a lot of LeBron James fans are going to get their hearts broken. But who knows? There may be some hijinks, some antics from the NBA afoot where they have one of their top-level stars go play with LeBron.
It's going to be the other guy. So if you get Klay, that's a consolation.
Kawhi Leonard,
great as he is.
Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, all better than Klay.
Right.
But because of LeBron, the personnel that you have, the only person, well, I wouldn't say the only person because I don't know how I could pass up Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis and LeBron or Kawhi.
Listen, if Klay goes to the Lakers, a storied player, iconic franchise, it would be a great marriage.
I would say this,
yeah.
And I'm going to close it out by saying this. I said it before and I said it again. If the Lakers had Klay Thompson, that means Klay Thompson wouldn't be in the Warriors. They would beat the Golden State Warriors. They would beat the Golden State Warriors.
Wouldn't replace?
No, I don't agree with that one, Stephen A. Smith. Presumably, the Golden State Warriors will bring back Kevin Durant. If they put on the floor Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond, DeMarcus Cousins, and someone to replace Klay, they will still be the best team in the NBA by a sizable margin.
Replace him with another
Okay. We can't start a whole debate.
With Kevin Durant,
We'll save that. We'll save that for another day. We'll
They would
table
still
that.
beat
The
the
producers got it. We'll table it.
Who the hell knows? Knowing the Golden State Warriors, if they were to lose Klay Thompson, they might replace him with Jimmy Butler. Who the hell knows? But anyway, peace.